At 4:40 in the afternoon, a Russian Tigr rolled into the shattered western edge of Chasiv Yar at barely 20 kilometers an hour. Moscow's armored jeep, the boxy 4x4 it uses to shove infantry to a tree line under fire. Behind it, two more. Ahead of them, a tank, breaking the road. The crews were counting on what had happened. A wall of rockets walking across the Ukrainian line, 40 tubes of a BM-21 Grad, a Soviet-era truck stacked with rocket rails, emptied in half a minute. That barrage was supposed to have cleared the way. 200 meters off the road, folded into a collapsed basement, a Ukrainian gunner laid an anti-tank launcher across a slab of concrete and stayed perfectly still. It had passed right over him. That was the flaw in the plan, and the column had 90 seconds left to discover it. The corridor had been chosen days earlier. A Ukrainian assault team, the same men who would publish the gun camera footage of this afternoon before the smoke had finished lifting, had walked this stretch of ruined street and read it the way the Russians would drive it. One road in, hemmed on both sides by collapsed apartment blocks. A single line of advance, because everything to the left and right was rubble no vehicle could climb. They buried anti-vehicle mines at the one point where the street pinched narrow, paced the distance back to two firing positions, and left. Then, they waited for Russia to send what Russia always sent into Chasiv Yar: armor, to carry men across the last few hundred meters that men could not cross on foot. The Grad went first because the drop-off could not move until the defenders were pinned. For roughly 40 seconds, the rockets came down across the Ukrainian positions, and the men in the basements pressed into the concrete and let it pass. Area fire is a blunt instrument. It saturates a zone. It cannot confirm that any single cellar is empty. When it lifted, the ringing quiet it left behind was the signal the Russians had been waiting for. 200 meters back, on a small screen in the basement, the team had watched the column form up before the barrage even lifted. A tank, 3 Tigrs, the gap between each vehicle counted and logged. They had seen this shape drive this street before. They knew exactly where it would have to slow. The armor moved. The tank led, because a tank breaks a road and everything behind it follows the break. It reached the pinch in the street where the rubble closed in from both sides, and the mine under its left track did what a mine laid on a measured point does. The track sheared and unspooled across the asphalt. 40 tons of vehicles slewed, dropped onto its road wheels, and stopped. It did not burn. It simply died in place and blocked the road completely. That compression was the whole point of the mine. The 3 Tigrs behind the tank had been holding 50 to 150 meters of spacing, enough that no single shell could catch 2 at once. The dead tank erased it in seconds. The trailing vehicles bunched toward the wreck, and the road became a kill box. Ukrainian mortars were already registered on that box. The first rounds fell within 15 seconds of the tank dying, walked across the column to pin it, not to kill any one vehicle. Splinters raked the thin roofs, and the drop-off had its own clock. Every second the infantry stayed boxed under the shells was a second they were not delivered, and the whole assault bled. Lead Tigr, the driver had 2 bad choices: reverse into the vehicle behind, or push past the dead tank through a gap that did not exist. He pushed and popped smoke, a gray wall thrown up to break the shooter's line of sight. For a few seconds, the vehicle vanished inside it. 280 meters away, in a doorway with a clear lane down the street, a Ukrainian soldier put an AT-4 to his shoulder, an 84mm throwaway launcher, 1 shot in the tube, and then the tube is dead. But the AT-4 fires an unguided rocket. It leaves the tube at around 290 meters a second and goes wherever it was pointed, with nothing to correct it in flight. At that range, against a Tigr already moving and half hidden, the margin for a hit was almost nothing. Its shape charge is built to burn through 400 millimeters of armor, far more than a Tigr, plated only against rifle rounds and splinters, would ever need to stop it. None of that mattered if the aim was wrong. He fired into the smoke where the Tigr had been. The round went wide, tore a hole in a building, and the Tigr rolled on. One tube gone. That miss should have cost him the vehicle. It didn't, because smoke cuts both ways. The gray wall that hid the Tigr also marked exactly where it was, and the vehicle had to come out of its own cloud to move at all. A second soldier was already up with another AT-4 further along the same lane, waiting for the nose to clear the smoke. When it did, at just over 200 meters, he fired. This round caught the Tigr low on the hull side. The shaped charge punched a fist-sized hole through the armor and sprayed molten metal into the crew compartment. The Tigr lurched, slewed off the road, and stopped against a wall with its engine dead and its ramp jammed. Inside, the squad it had been carrying was suddenly infantry with no vehicle in a street that belonged to someone else. 2 vehicles down, 2 to go, and the assault still had a mission. For a few seconds, the street went quiet. The tank dead across the road, the first Tigr stalled and smoking against a wall, the mortars holding between salvos. 2 vehicles gone, and the armor had pushed perhaps 100 meters into the corridor. The men inside the stalled Tigr did not wait for a third round. They forced the jammed ramp, spilled out into the rubble, and ran for the nearest wall. Because infantry pinned inside a dead vehicle is infantry already lost. For a few seconds, the wall looked like cover. It wasn't. The mortar crews walked their fire off the road and onto the structure, and it came down in slabs. The survivors broke again, out the back, sprinting for the tree line that edged the ruins. Trees are real cover, and dense cover beats a drone. But a small Ukrainian quadcopter, a first-person view drone with a warhead bolted to its nose, was already up and working the open ground between the wall and the trees. Once men break from hard cover, a drone has a narrow window, 30 seconds to maybe 90, before the canopy swallows the movement and the feed shows nothing but leaves. It used the window. It caught the runners in the gap, closed, and finished its run before the trees could save them. That left 1. The last Tigr had not stopped for any of it. While the mortars worked the wreck and the drone worked the tree line, it had gunned its engine, swung wide around the dead hulk of the first Tigr, found the one narrow gap the rubble allowed, and run for the drop-off point 300 meters ahead, a half-collapsed building where a fresh squad could still get out and get into cover. Behind its armored flank, that squad still rode, still able to fight if the ramp ever dropped where it was meant to. If it reached the building, the fight stopped being about burning vehicles and became Russian riflemen inside Ukrainian lines. It had perhaps 12 seconds of open ground to cross. In the basement, the first gunner still had not moved. He was still holding the launcher he had laid across the concrete before the first shot of the day. An NLAW, light enough for one man to carry and run with, under 13 kilograms. He put the sight on the last Tigr as it came and began to track it, holding the vehicle in the reticle. That tracking is the weapon's whole trick. It reads the target's speed off those few seconds and does the firing math itself. Its window ran from 20 meters out to 800. But firing too early, before the Tigr was inside a clean part of that envelope, would waste the shot, and the launch flare would tell every crew in the street which cellar to bury. So he waited while the Tigr closed. 600 meters, still too far out. The engine note climbed as the Tigr accelerated for the door. 500. 400, and the building's doorway swelled in the sight behind it. 300. The gunner did not rush the shot the weapon was already solving for him. The reticle held on the driver's hatch. 250, and the vehicle had nowhere left to be but the crosshair. He fired. The missile left the tube, climbed its programmed meter above the street, ran the range in a breath, and dropped its warhead through the roof of the Tigr from directly overhead, where its armor is thinnest and where a top attack shot goes to work. The Tigr did not stop so much as fold. The blast went down and inward, into the crew, into the squad riding to a drop-off now 40 meters short, and never finished. The vehicle rolled a few more feet on dead momentum and burned in full view of the door it had been racing for. around 5 seconds from the first tracking frame to the warhead through the roof. A vehicle built to shrug off shell splinters and rifle fire, beaten by a launcher one man carried into a cellar. When the smoke thinned, the wreckage told the shape of it. A Tigr burning nose down toward the building it never reached. A Russian towed gun torn apart before it unlimbered. A tank dead in the road. A second Tigr against a wall. The drop-off did not fail because the vehicles were weak. It failed because the street had been measured before the first tire touched it. One mine turned a road into a box. The box turned spacing into a target, and a 13-kilogram launcher only had to wait for the last vehicle to reach it. Mines, mortars, 2 throwaway tubes, and a drone against a tank, 3 armored vehicles, and a gun. East of Chasiv Yar, another column is forming for the same road. The corridor is still measured. Nothing has driven it yet.